Cavs fans, if you waited up for us, we very much appreciate it. Spencer German, Spencer Davies, hanging out at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse after what was a thrilling win for the Cleveland Cavaliers, 129-122. Spence, I mean, this was one of the best NBA games I think I've ever seen, but certainly the best I've probably seen in person. For being a game that was touted as, this matchup of juggernauts, if you will, the best in the East, the best in the West, number one team in the NBA, number two team in the NBA, number one defensive team in the NBA versus the number one offensive team in the NBA. It's rare that you get all those kind of qualifiers and then it lives up to the hype. But this game was that. I mean, 30 lead changes. It was back and forth. There was never a lead larger than 8 points. OKC had an 8-point lead, or I think early in the game in the first quarter. This game had a little bit of everything, and the Cavaliers come out on top and make probably the biggest statement of the year. I know those Celtics games matter, and people are going to look back at those. And the Knicks game early in the season is another Eastern Conference kind of foe for you. But these are the two best teams in the NBA right now, and the calendar's now turned to January. Teams kind of know who they are a little bit more now. This felt like truly like a statement of games, and man, did it deliver on the stage that it was presented as, too, being on national TV and everything.
It was a heavyweight matchup, and both competitors, both teams came to play, and I had an absolute blast watching that game. I made a joke on Twitter. There's some people that say some weird or wacky games. This game is on drugs. That game was the drug. That game was the drug because there was just so much quality basketball being played. The shots that were generated, the defensive adjustments, the way that these guys attacked each other, were playing with physicality, but also sticking to their identities. It was just such a masterpiece to watch unfold. And I can't wait for the meeting again in 8 days.
Yeah, that's the cool thing about it is you do get to see it in 8 days at their place this time. And they're like 27-3, I think, in their building. So again, it changes sort of the background changes, but you get a chance to kind of prove like, yeah, this was legit. And if the Cavs can win that one, it's huge too. But the meteoric run for this Cavaliers team continues. And I think what was maybe one of the more impressive things about tonight's Spence, and it's nothing new because we've kind of known this about this team, but I think especially being on national TV, right? Like there's still some people who have their doubts about if this is legit, if the Cavaliers can really emerge as an Eastern Conference title contender. And we've seen this team win in different ways, and the role players contributing, and the 11, 12 deep that Kenny Atkinson plays, and all those guys have a certain thing that they do and contribute to winning, and different guys can take over in different moments. And so that's what I think impressed me maybe the most about tonight was Donovan Mitchell was awful. I think he was 1 of 11 from the floor. He finished with 11 points. Like he was bad. And he would probably even admit that himself that he played bad. Like we joked, does he even want to talk to the media tonight? Because he's going to be like, why are you guys talking to me? I was terrible. But he obviously still likes to use the platform to pump up his teammates, which he did. Yeah, he played a bad game, and that's your star player. But the guys around him rose to the occasion. Evan Mobley was brilliant. Jarrett Allen was incredible. The poster child of, lights are too bright in the playoffs, can't play on that stage. This felt like a playoff game tonight. He was phenomenal. He did the little things. It was kind of the hustle plays. He was out rebounding guys, out physicaling guys. He was incredible. And it was like they all saw Donovan struggling. And guys like Mobley, guys like Allen, Max Strus, who we'll talk about more on an individual level, all these guys kind of said to themselves, to a man, I got to step up here. This is my spot, and lifted this team to victory. It was awesome to see, truly.
You took the words right out of my mouth, man. And, you mentioned those guys. I'm going to go right back to Darius Garland again. Only 2 turnovers tonight against a team that forces a ton of them. And not to mention, too, the way that Darius was finding these guys in the pocket. And Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley pointed out to us in the postgame show about how much they've been told to play off of 2 feet and to make sure that they're playmaking out of the pocket, making sure you have different options for your pivot foot, being able to make a read, whether you're going to attack the rim, whether you're going to spray out to the corner, which, by the way, the Thunder were leaving the left corner open all game long.
Yeah,
Max Strus was making them
10,
pay.
20 plays that just went in that same corner the entire time.
Max Strus was making them pay. Karis LeVert was making them pay. You had DG over there sometimes. Dean Wade had a few of them. It was just to a T. The Cavs executed a great game plan against a very strong and athletic Thunder team. Jalen Williams was phenomenal tonight. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, what more can you say about the way that he gets to his spots? he took 27 shots to get to 31 points, and Ty Jerome said that was pretty damn good. Couldn't do much better job than that. But Shea still has just such a smooth, silky game.
Sure.
The way he gets to his mid-range, and he only got 4 free throws tonight. So kudos to the Cavs and their defensive game plan on that end. But there's just so much good to talk about when it comes to the way that Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley played together, and how Evan's kind of development this year has led to them being able to play offensively better together. And that's something that if you go to our YouTube page, you'll see that Kenny Atkinson was explaining that very well. And I think that they themselves explained it very well about the way that Evan's been able to step out under the three. He's been able to play make more. He's handling. So he's almost essentially like a wing now when he's on the floor with Jarrett Allen. But he's also able to play the stretch five. And Jarrett Allen's also able to play without Evan when needed. So that just gives you an option of 3 different lineups you can go with. And talk about a deadly options to have in your back pocket the way that Kenny has. And all of them can play together. It's insane. You're just watching them, and none of them are ever like clunky. They know their spots. They're playing a high pace. They know what matchups they're looking for. They know who to target. It's just been beautiful, honestly, the entire season, but nothing like we saw tonight against competition like this.
Yeah. I mean, it felt like a high stakes game, and they played like a high stakes game, and guys were like, they were composed. They went out and played their style of basketball. And honestly, like kudos to the Thunder too, because they played like it was a high stakes game, and they kind of did what was working for them. And obviously they were missing Chet Holmgren, which is a big piece of this.
And Alex Caruso.
Yeah, and Alex Caruso. They'll both be back at some point. That could change the math on this a little bit, make it even more exciting. But I mean, that it was just a thrilling game all around. And I will say this, like, you talk about the guys stepping up and everyone kind of playing their roles and doing their part. Like early in the game, first quarter, it was, and you pointed out this too, like the Thunder were doing a really good job. They have a really good perimeter defensive team, and they were taking away the threes and sort of forcing them to take mid-range jumpers. Mobley was taking some, and the Cavs eventually sort of pivoted to, okay, you're going to take away the threes. We're just going to kill you inside. And that opened up the guys on the outside to then start knocking down the threes, which is why Max Strus was, I think, like 5 of 6 or 4 or 5, whatever he was tonight. Like they sort of pivoted to, okay, we'll play that style. We'll give you that. And then that freed them up to get back to doing some of the things they have been doing, which is taking a lot of threes and getting the role players involved from behind the arc. So it was just like this perfect flow of sort of following, taking what they were giving you, and then turning the game back around to what you wanted to do as an offensive team. And again, it just speaks to the brilliance of Kenny Atkinson to get the most out of these guys, but also just how they're able to adjust and win different ways. Like having a team like that feels like it's maybe the most dangerous thing you can have in the NBA, because if you can win different styles and different play paces and play, I mean, so much was made of, I think going into this game, I heard a lot of talk about, oh, it's going to be a low-scoring game. People thought it was going to be like defense versus defense, because the Cavs still have a top 10 defense too. And it became more of an offensive game because the Cavs took, like, okay, you're going to give us this, we'll take it. And then that allowed them to sort of get their offense going on the outside. And obviously, and then the Thunder were kind of playing catch-up at times and trying to do their own thing offensively. And so, yeah, like the defense kind of didn't go out the window, but, there were still moments. But it was just crazy how this game sort of played out. And to see the Cavs go through that chess game as it was unfolding was just kind of cool.
It was very cool to see, and it's 2 of the best coaches in the association too. When you look at Kenny Atkinson and Mark Daigneault, who obviously has had to build that thing from scratch there in OKC, and what a wonderful team that they have over there. And I can't wait to see the rematch, like I said before. But a point that I wanted to get to,
maybe in the NBA Finals. Kenny Atkinson was asked about that after the game.
He was. What did he say? Do you remember? He's like, oh, we don't.
Well, he said he didn't want to talk about it, but I do know he said he did kind of allude to the idea of like small market teams.
Yeah.
This is kind of the way the NBA is going now, like
parity.
Yes. And, you can get teams like these two that end up meeting in a final situation potentially. So he at least gave credence to the idea that, yeah, it could happen because these two teams are both really good, which is cool to hear, I think, for Cavs fans who are always constantly told that their team's just not good enough and doesn't matter because it plays in Cleveland. But that was not the case tonight because everybody was watching on ESPN.
100%. And you know what else was watching? The world looking at Jarrett Allen pushing the hell out of Isaiah Hartenstein off of his spots, and Evan Mobley.
The lights were not too bright.
Not being afraid.
They were as dim as they are right now for Jarrett Allen.
Very well said, sir. No, but Evan and Jarrett, they played with a physicality tonight that they have been all season when necessary. They looked outstanding tonight. They were different players than the last time that Isaiah Hartenstein saw them for certain. But Jarrett, you look at the 8 offensive rebounds, but it's just not even that. If you're just watching the film and going back, like Jarrett Allen was getting his hands on every kind of loose ball and tip coming off of the rim, whether he was fighting for the glass or tipping it out to a teammate who would then get a rebound, all sorts of different things that he did to get Isaiah Hartenstein off of his spots. He was also protecting the rim and making Shai Gilgeous-Alexander second guess getting to the rim. He had a knack for stealing the ball tonight, the way he was making reads off of the passes that Oklahoma City was making. And then if you look at Evan Mobley, he's the one that attacked downhill right at Isaiah Hartenstein when he's been, out-muscled in the past against guys like that. And Evan's just as much a credit that he deserves that Jarrett's getting tonight, because Evan played with a force. An angry Ev came out to play this evening. So I think the bigs definitely are the story of the evening. But yeah, you go down the list and there's a lot to like from what you've seen. And I think one point I wanted to make, and not to get too long-winded here, but I thought it was interesting. Kenny Atkinson said in the postgame, the guys in the locker room told him there's no way they win that game tonight. You know why?
You mean
because Donovan Mitchell?
There's no way they win that game tonight last year.
Yes. Sorry, I forgot that part.
No, you're okay. Yeah, that's a key part.
That is a key part. Yeah, there's no way that we should have won.
There's no way we should have won that game, Kenny. Yeah, no.
Yeah, sorry. Last year or the year before that, there's no way they should win that game because they'd been so reliant on Donovan Mitchell in the closing moments. And Donovan just didn't have it tonight. 3 of 16 from the field. He airballed long on a mid-range opportunity in the fourth quarter. And I was like, that's the indicator that it's not Don's evening. But this is what happens when you have options and you have a team that trusts each other, because, all right, if I don't got it going, then I'm going to get it to somebody that will put it in the basket or get to the free throw line or create for another, because that's exactly what happened there at the end. Like, you look at Evan getting downhill and getting into Isaiah Hartenstein, and then you look at Darius Garland closing this thing out by crossing up Case and Wallace, who's one of the better players in the league defensively, and just teardropping it in. It was working to a charm there in the closing moments, and that's when they needed to have him. And then you even look at the defensive end, like Evan Mobley having the perfect timing to deflect away Hartenstein trying to attack the rim. It was Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, my fault. Say that 5 times fast, by the way. But it just kind of all came together in that sense. And someone we have not given credit for yet, and I'm surprised that we haven't, Ty Jerome, guys. Ty Jerome got it going in the second quarter, got the guys kind of back into the paint and attacking and touching that inside area because they kind of shied away from it early. And he got very significant minutes in the fourth quarter because Kenny Atkinson wanted a ball handler.
Yeah.
And he had been attacking guys all night. It started with him going to his right, literally crossing half court and then just leaning his left shoulder down and finishing off high glass, two floaters, 3 floaters, something like that. And then you look at how Oklahoma City adjusted in the fourth. They started forcing him left, but what happened? Ty got to his left. He's still going to his floater with his right. And he made, I think, 2 or 3 or 3 or 4 of those. And he's just terrific. He played 12 minutes, but he was one of the most impactful players in the game.
You weren't even sure if he played tonight because just addition by subtraction, trying to get guys in. And like we said, like playoff sort of atmosphere and feel to this game. But he still proved like he's part of this rotation that Kenny wants to get out there. And he proved now that he can do it on that stage, which I think is really good too.
Yes.
I think it was kind of fitting just to go back to Jarrett Allen real quick. Well, first of all, 2 things. Jarrett Allen had 6 assists tonight. Evan Mobley had 7. Like the fact that those guys, it wasn't just that they were making it work on the offensive end themselves. They were also passing, like they were setting guys up. They were making plays in every sort of phase.
Short roll, guys. Short roll. When DG found him over the top or Max Strus found him over the top, they were spraying to those corners and they were spraying the cutter, and they were passing the cutters. Like George Niang had a beautiful cut. Dean had a nice cut. Like
it was
that's
just cool to see the offense ultimately like kind of run through them tonight. Because Donovan was struggling and because the Thunder were aware of the 3-point shooting. They tried to take that away as best they could, but they made him pay. And when you're that versatile and you can do that, it's huge. But the other thing I was going to say was it was fitting. I thought that the game sort of came in the waning minutes. It was like 1:30 left, and the Cavs were up I think 2, and Evan Mobley took a 3 that hits off the rim, and Jarrett Allen jumps up and tips it out to Donovan, who corrals it. And then they stopped the game and had to review it because they weren't sure if it was a shot clock violation. They were saying, I don't think it cleared the rim or something like that.
Yeah.
Even though it did, after it hit off the rim. So they had to kind of check it. But I thought it was fitting that like a Jarrett Allen hustle play is kind of what sealed the game for you. Because after that, they used the extra possession. Mobley hits a bucket to make it a 5-point. I think they were on 3, and then they made it a 5-point game. And then after that, it was like, okay, like they were pretty comfortably in charge at that point, and they just needed like one more stop to sort of seal the deal. So, like again, I think that just kind of defined the night, though. Like Jarrett all over the place, making plays, out physicaling guys, showing how tough he really is. Evan Mobley as kind of like the sidekick, the Robin to the Batman of Jarrett Allen tonight. But those two were absolutely dominant. I also can't just say enough about, everyone likes to throw out the phrase, the Strus is loose, but like Max Strus was awesome tonight. And that's what you pay him for. Like, this is a game where you saw him, because we know it, like he's streaky. He can have games where he's off. He can have stretches where he's off. But when he comes out tonight, and one of them, like he came in the third quarter, I think, and he hit one off the bench.
Straight off the bench, off the pine. Bench. He was
3-point shot in the corner.
I think it was literally within 5-6 seconds. They got to stop, threw it up. Karras swung it from the wing to the corner, and Max knocked it down in front of the bench. And it was partly contested too.
Yeah.
And I think that's how you know when Max is feeling it, is like he's just letting it fly, and nothing else is, they ran a play for him that he actually nailed a 3, but his foot was on the line too. They ran some sort of screen up top, really high, actually, pretty high screen, for Max to come around, and almost being used as a decoy originally, and then coming around. Like Kenny is so like advanced with this stuff. Like it's so fun to watch. But yeah,
like like this is the game. This is the type of setting you paid Max Strus for.
Yes.
Like we talk about needing that wing player that can contribute, knock down threes, play good defense. Strus can be that guy in certain instances. And tonight, to see it on this stage, I think had to be encouraging for fans, because now like, okay, if he can get hot at the right time in April and May and June, like the sky is absolutely the limit for this team if that guy is also doing what he did tonight. And Dean Wade too, like he deserves a shout out, because similarly, he started the game at that 3 spot, and he was knocking him down for 3. And he didn't seem like, we've talked so much about Dean sort of getting more confident. And like he didn't hesitate too when he had open looks. He was just shooting them and knocking them down.
And he hasn't been this year too. That's the other thing about Dean.
Well, I think early on he still sort of showed so he would like double pump and like sort of like
And there
now that he's in the middle of the season, he's gotten that out of his system. When he gets the ball, he's just shooting. And
very well said.
He feels good. He's going to knock it down.
Yeah, very well said on that. I think Dean and Caris LeVert deserve a huge shout out too. The way that they defended Shai Gilgeous-Alexander tonight, they kept him in front. They kept him off the line, and he only got 4 free throws, made 4-4. He's going to make his mid-ranger. It's a slithery, nasty shot that he has in his back pocket. It's actually just buttery. I love Shai's mid-range game.
I mean, that was, no matter who was going to win this game, it was thrilling either way. But even like the price of admission, like coming here and watching Shai play is cool in itself, because he's like one of these next great players, and he's phenomenal.
I don't even think he's the next anymore. I think he's a surefire MVP candidate.
I just mean though, like within these last few years, he's established himself. But I'm saying, like you talk about like who LeBron, for example, is passing the torch to. I think Shai is one of those players that, like, when he eventually retires, he's one of these next like superstar players, assuming they can, I know he's in a small market, but like if you can market in the right way, he can be that 100%. Like he's awesome. Yeah. He's a really fun player.
I agree. I posted this tonight. I was like, if I was a defender, there's no way I would know if Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was going to accelerate with the ball in his hand, whether he was going to stop on a dime and shoot, or whether he was going to slow step me to the rim and try to draw contact. Like he has so many different paces he plays at. That's just, and the length that he has, that he's able to do this, and adding the 3-point shot to his game the last few years, he is something else. And that's also, I think, a credit to the Cavs that they were able to get past that. He still got his 31, even though it was somewhat inefficient 31, but this is the way that Oklahoma City plays. They're very Shai centric, I would say.
Yeah. Even though he's going to get his.
Even though Jalen Williams, I thought, was outstanding tonight. A guy that plays shooting guard, but is a power, or that plays power forward, but like has shooting guard size. He's just strong and long, able to really switch well, and got, I think, 3-4 steals tonight. Got their team going. Like, sorry, I don't mean to make this a Thunder love fest either, but I just thought I just thought this was a really good contested game between two teams. Hartenstein's playmaking was outstanding.
Like we said, I don't think it's a problem to bring that up because, again, they play in 8 days, and if this does become a finals matchup at some point, like, people are going to want to know kind of what to expect, and I think we saw some of that here tonight. I think the biggest question I want to know, Spence, is was this finally a statement win for the Cleveland Cavaliers, Spence? Will you say it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we finally got it.
Hey, now your stupid bit's over.
New year, new Spence. How about that? He said it.
That was a statement.
A statement win from the Cleveland Cavaliers. Oh, what a day.
That was a statement win. But what I like about this,
from the Cavaliers are watching, we finally got him on board. We finally converted him.
He egged me on. But no, seriously, I mean, that's a 30-win team over there. Yeah. They are outstanding. They just went into Boston and won. They are a well-oiled machine, and they really make you grind it out and turn you over and make life hell. The Cavs stepped it up tonight. They kept the ball. They took care of possessions, knew when to get the right guy the ball at the right time, and usually that was the bigs, as we were talking about. But, yeah, the Cavs are just kind of on this confident level. And it's funny because at practice they were talking all week about how this is just a test, like it sounded like, if things went wrong or whatever like that, or things went right, they were always going to stay even keeled. That's the Donovan Mitchell mindset. That's the rest of the teams obviously trickling down to. But this was something that I think you can get excited about. I loved the tone that guys were talking about after the game. Evan Mobley was asked straight up, like, do you feel like a star right now? And he said, yes.
Yeah. That
was, and
I'll say too, like, I've noticed Evan seems to be, I don't want to say we made fun of him, but like people would sort of like get on him about like, oh, he's just so monotone. Like, he's starting to like have more of a voice.
Yes.
And it's noticeable. Like, as his game is evolving, so is his voice.
That's true. And let's talk about in the locker room, Darius Garland asked point blank about being an all-star. He's like, I should be an all-star. So these guys are talking the talk, but also walking the walk. And that's
when you're 32-4, you can do that.
You can. and you cannot minimize any of this in my opinion. And the way, again, winning multiple ways, having guys doing multiple things in their skill sets, I think it's quite impressive. And also shout out to Isaac Okoro, got back tonight. Played in a couple stints, looked fine defensively, of course. He didn't really get too much of an opportunity to guard Shea.
Shea was scared of him. That's what everyone was saying on social media because he subbed out when Okoro subbed in.
So funny joke about that one. So someone tweeted that at me, and I was like, bro, Shea just played the entire first quarter, and Isaac's first minutes.
No, man, he was scared. He was scared. He didn't want that Isaac Okoro business.
But let me tell you what, though. I hope we do see Isaac on Shea in next 8 days, and hopefully, his restriction gets lifted a little bit. I think that could be a really good.
I agree.
Really good matchup there. But yeah, no, this has been a really fun night. I'm so glad that we had the opportunity to do this. This is like, this was just one of the best games I've seen, and I'm biased. I want this to be the NBA Finals. And I want Chet Holmgren back. I want Alex Caruso back. Make everyone healthy. This is exactly what basketball purists want to see, as Kenny Atkinson would put it. And if you don't like it because they are two smaller towns, then go kick. What was it? Go hit the bricks. What does that say? What is it saying?
Kick rocks.
Go kick rocks.
Yeah. No, I don't know. No, listen. Like I echo that, Spence. Like, if this is our finals matchup, this becomes the finals matchup. How could you not want to sign up for this? I mean, they just delivered you one of the greatest basketball games you'll ever see. Just back and forth, everything that went into it.
Quality basketball.
I mean, this is what you think of when you think of like what the NBA was at like the peak of its powers. Like, everyone like wants to, I almost said a different word, but you like crap on the NBA these days and be like, oh, it's just not what it used to be. Like, this was like old school. I mean, a lot more scoring, but it was like, this was old school basketball, like just exchanging blows back and forth down the floor. How could you not be excited by that? Yeah. And along those lines, there's probably a lot of people who are like, this is maybe their first time even watching the Cavaliers this year because it was on national TV.
I know
Cavs fans. Yeah. I know you guys have been on the train already.
The people that don't watch us.
But if this was your introduction, welcome, because this team is legit. And like that's again, that's why I ask you, like, yeah, it's tongue in cheek. We have some fun with it, like the whole statement win thing.
Yes.
But like at some point, like, I understand people like to illegitimize the regular season and say it doesn't matter and all these different things. But like, I don't want to go through the season just feeling like none of this stuff matters. Like, the Cavaliers have passed every single test to this point. And you can't tell me, like, when the Warriors were on their incredible streak, the year they went 73-9, you can't tell me that throughout that season you weren't like, oh, this team's like really, really freaking good. And then they made it to the finals. maybe could have won the finals. We know how it went, and it went in the Cavaliers' favor, which is good news. But still, it's like they were a finals team. They were a historic team. Like, how could you possibly watch this Cavaliers team at this point and just be like, no, I just don't trust them? Like, they have proven to you every step of the way. They've checked every box that they possibly could to this point. I get it. It's the regular season. It's different than the playoffs. We know the playoffs are the biggest stage. Yes. But for me, it's like, I just can't keep doing this every time. Like, well, they got to do it against this team and they got to do it against that team. They're doing it against all those teams. They beat the Celtics. Well, they've split with the Celtics so far. I know they've only played the Knicks once, and it was early in the season. That team's really good. They'll see them later this year. But, like, they can only play who's in front of them. And to this point, like, they just keep checking the boxes, and some people out there keep doubting them, and I just don't know why. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, this is a historic team. Let's enjoy this run and, like, follow along, and people just need to get on board and understand maybe they don't win the NBA Finals. The Warriors didn't win the NBA Finals when they went 73-9, like I said. But this doesn't like that shouldn't legitimize what this team has done, what this team is doing. And if they finish the season with some incredible record, I mean, even if they break like the franchise record of 66 wins, that should be something we celebrate. And I just don't know what else people want them to do to prove it to them. Like, they can't help that it's only January. They can't fast forward the schedule to April. I'm sorry. Like, I refuse to like let that be a reason why I'm doubting this team because like, oh well, it's not the playoffs.
I think that first of all, that was a very impassioned soliloquy. I was very happy.
No, gets on my nerves,
for
man.
sure. So I'm trying to not pay attention to that part.
And like, I get it. Like I said, that it's like, yes, the regular season isn't. It's different when you're playing a series and they're scheming against you and it's 7 games and all that. I get it. And yes, that is the ultimate test. But that doesn't mean like everything that happens in the regular season just means zilch.
Yeah.
Like, and this team is proving that to you.
Well, for sure. And again, I'm trying to kind of avoid that talk. I think a lot of that is starting to be trolls at this point of the season. Maybe at the beginning of the season maybe at the beginning of the season there were definitely like that kind of doubt. But I mean, you can't even say this is a fast start anymore. There are 36 games into the season. Right. There's no more start. This is literally a half of the season. This is a half of the season. Yeah. This is who they are. They've proven it to you time and time again. Most of the times, if they're ever having a tough night, it's because they're not making shots. And that's about it, because they've kept their defensive identity for the most part. Offensively, they're a well-oiled machine. They know where their spots are. They trust in each other. And again, they know what the hot hand is and how to kind of look at that. But I mean, if you keep asking the same questions over and over again to Donovan Mitchell, he's going to tell you the same. He's like, I get it. You know, we got to prove it come April, come May.
Well, and June, he gets it more than anybody because he's even the guy that said, like, I'm not going to be considered a superstar until I do more in the playoffs. And so he gets it. But, like, he also said tonight something along the lines of, like, if you don't believe us, like, fine, we don't care. Like, we know who we are. And then
exactly. No, and that's a great attitude to have in the first place. And I think them being able to lock that noise out and just continuously hear Kenny's message over and over again makes them mature mentally. And clearly they're a mature team playing the game because they are taking care of the basketball. They're turning teams over and they just know how to play. It does seem as simple as that because I feel like it really is. And if you have that attitude and it's on a nightly basis and you don't play to your competition level and you consistently have the same output, same energy every single game, it's different because they did this against the Hornets and they also did it against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Like that's
the thing for me too. Like it'd be one thing if this team was doing like load management every night, and like Donovan Mitchell wasn't playing, and you know they were saving guys for later in the season, almost like Jimmy Butler does with the Miami Heat, although that might not be for much longer. But anyway, but like that's not what this team's doing. Like they're going out and they're treating every night like it's a game that matters. They're trying to like develop even more chemistry. They're trying to like, you know, make the system even more crisp than it already is. Like this team is taking it seriously. So everybody else should probably be taking this team seriously.
And I think that people are starting to wake up because I mean, you said it like, I don't know what else they have to prove. I kind of said the same thing. Like it seems like people were searching for reasons not to believe. Now I think some people are starting to understand. All right, this is real. This is real, and I feel like you can believe in them as a top tier
and I get on some level like the Celtics are in this conference. So as long as the defending champs are here, they're going to be the standard. So that's fine. But to act like the Cavs, like to just kind of blow it off, like, oh well, they're not going to get past the Celtics. I just can't do that. Like I think this team has a legitimate chance to do that, and if they keep playing the way they are, They might. I think the only real disappointing thing from tonight's Spence is that Cavs Frog wasn't here.
Cavs Frog, I didn't see her around. Maybe she was outside. Hopefully she wasn't outside. It's really cold.
It is.
It's cold and
it might
snowy.
be warm
probably.
in the cat in this costume. I don't know. So
okay, we don't know how that costume feels. I have been a mascot before, by the way, back in my baseball days.
Don't you sweat your ass off?
I was orbit at the Akron Arrows game when I was an intern.
Look at that. Put that on the resume.
Hey, real quick before we get out of here, let's see. Were there any questions on here that you think we can look at?
Any questions?
Yeah, any questions?
We're
let's
a little
go look.
far away, but let me see.
Yeah, let's see.
No questions. Just a lot of people.
Just a lot of comments. All right.
This Orrin Smith said Kobe Altman for GM of the year. Facts.
You know what?
I know
he stuck to his guns, man, and he's looking smarter by the game, by the week, by the month.
He definitely got
I'll tell you what, man. How many people?
Well, he got the last laugh for now, but then in the playoffs, if they lose, everyone's gonna be back
right to it.
Yeah,
but I mean, what patience and what kind of a vision that he has to go out and get a coach that's preaching to him. And this is actually in Kenny's press conference. If you look on our YouTube, talking about his vision was why can't Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen work? Why can't Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell
It's a lot harder. I'll say this. It's a lot harder in this league to do what Kobe Altman did and like try to see something through and not like panic and make the changes that even somebody like me was pushing for them to make. Like, I think you might have to break this thing up. The easy thing to do is like, okay, we got to try something different. Let's make a trade. He stuck to his guns and yeah, like he deserves all the credit in the world right now because this team's playing phenomenal. So
absolutely.
We'll see. I bet Cavs Frog's going to be here tomorrow when I'm not here because I'm hosting at a different platform, and then she won't be here on Sunday when I'm back. That's how it's going to work.
Probably.
She just is trying to avoid me for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't know what I did to her.
Maybe she just doesn't have a thing for you like that. Yeah.
Well, I have a thing for her, so
you do.
I've always had a thing for frogs, you know. As Spence said,
hey, appreciate the comments, guys. Thank you so much.
As Spence said, you can check out more content like this. Also, all the post-game conversations, press conferences, reactions from the locker room and the press conference room over the Cleveland Cavaliers on SI YouTube channel. We also have some written content up at Cleveland Cavaliers on SI or si.com/NBA/Cavaliers. I got a little bit of a column up, sort of recapping the game, but also talking about the rant that I went on here about why it's time to finally respect this Cavaliers team. So you can check all that out as well. We very much appreciate you joining us. We're up to over 1,000 people who are still up with us tonight at midnight.
Truly appreciate that.
That's huge.
I have one more plug too, by the way.
Okay, one more plug.
We do a weekly podcast, even though sometimes the days do vary because this man is very busy, so I understand.
I would actually would have been good enough if we wanted to do it on Monday this week.
No, I know.
Because they were playing, we're going to wait till Friday.
Exactly. We're going to do that Friday. It'll be live. It'll be on the YouTube channel that you possibly are watching right now. So make sure you check us out there. It's Courtside with Cavs on SI, logo there in the top right. Thank you, Anthony Meglin. And we are also on Spotify, Apple Music, and Amazon. Yeah. Please like, subscribe, rate, review, get that thing going. I think it's doing a lot to do that.
I think one of the best parts about it is like right now it's a nice dosage. You get it once a week for now. Yeah. Probably as we get deeper in the season, we'll start maybe doing it a couple times a week. But I think it's a good sort of set right now.
It is.
We'll keep it rolling. So we'll talk to you guys on Friday for that. Spence will be here tomorrow. I won't be able to do post game because like I said, I'm hosting. But
appreciate you telling me that on there.
Yeah, just so you know now, put it in your calendar. But Sunday I'll be back and it'll be us two again. So until next time, we appreciate you guys stopping by. We appreciate you guys staying up late with us. Thank you as always from Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. Cavaliers 129, 122 winners over the Thunder. For Spencer Davies, I'm Spencer German signing off. Keep on following along with all your Cleveland Cavaliers coverage with the Cleveland Cavaliers on SI.